Hello, everybody. I am Luke. I get to work on product over here at Benzinga, so I really appreciate you all joining me to get to show you a chance of some of the cool things we are working on. I'm joined by Brent.
Hey, I'm Brent Slava. I'm one of the guys that's helping run the news team.
All right, guys. Let's dig right into it. Today, we are going to be showing you a couple features, a couple of the cool things that we get feedback on the platform. We're specifically going to dive a little bit deeper into options and block trades, some of those market data.
Two of our probably most favorite signals that we use.
Yes.
And we'll dig into signals a little bit here in a few minutes.
All right. So if you want to follow along and you're not already signed up, either on the platform or as a trial, go over to pro.benzinga.com. There is a button in the middle, a big button that says Start Your Free Trial. Give that a click, and you will be able to follow, what we're talking about a little more easily.
Absolutely. So, Luke, why don't you get the viewers logged in here?
Yes, sir.
So click over to log in. I'm sure you all know how to do this. You put in your credentials there. Luke's typing in a super secret password.
And we are in.
What is this screen? Really quickly.
Yep, so this is your blank workspace. So whenever you sign into Benzinga Pro for the first time, you're going to see the blank canvas that is yours to fill up with news and data. We try to make everything as customizable as possible. We know people have different preferences and strategies. So this is essentially the blank canvas where we can start populating some of the things we want to look at.
And so Luke and I are just going to build one workspace today. You can add as many workspaces as you want. You can theme your workspaces if you want to. You can have a workspace which is just block trades, just option alerts. You can have a workspace which is just a news feed. You can have a workspace which has all your tickers in a watch list combined with a news feed, and you'll only be getting news items on your watch list for a couple examples there.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this big newsfeed button in the middle to launch our newsfeed. This is one of the primary functionalities at Benzinga Pro.
Absolutely.
Brian, you want to give us the 10-second pitch as to what people could expect and look out for in the newsfeed?
Sure. So the newsfeed is getting populated with strictly headlines. There's no body to the headline. These are from your Benzinga Pro breaking news reporters. Also, stories that are hitting benzinga.com are going to get populated in here into the newsfeed. You can notice over here, I'm just going to kind of mouse over and highlight really quickly. You see some text over here. That means that there's a little bit more to this headline. What you can do is you can click on one of these and it'll pop up with the body, what's actually inside that headline. You can also double click really quickly and it will give you the actual little pop-up there for you. That was like 15 seconds. I went a little over, sorry.
50% over. I don't know. They called it a little bit. All right. So before we hop straight into options and block trades, which is one way that you can filter your news feed, I want to give a little bit of a preview for retail earnings next week.
Okay, cool.
All right. So if I go ahead and click on this filters button in the top right corner, it will launch a menu that allows me to customize all of the content I'm receiving. So if I'm interested in a specific topic or I don't want to see every single headline that's coming out, I've got the ability to limit what I see.
Yep, limiting a lot of the content there.
Yep, and so next week we've got retail earnings. We got a lot of the big box stores coming out, some of the specialty stores. And let's go ahead and build a news feed that will just have those items. So if I want to follow those retail earnings, I will be able to stay right on top of it.
And we had a few of them this week. We had a few today, and we're going to kind of conclude next week. So as Luke's populating this, you will see that there will be already in their retail reports. This is kind of how you would want to tune in next week. If you are somebody that would be looking to get news items on retail next week, this is how you can do it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and check the box for earnings and guidance. Now I've got a news feed populated of all the earnings and guidance. And I can actually go ahead and click on the word sectors here. to view all 11 top level sectors. And I'm going to go ahead and click through consumer cyclical. Now I've got a list of all of the industry groups within consumer cyclical. I'm going to scroll down.
You can find restaurant there. You can find retail and apparel. I think that's the one you want there. So check this out. So hit done on that, Luke, or were you done with this window?
I'm all done with this window.
Okay, so check it out. So notice how limited it is. There were, compared to where we were at in the newsfeed before, there was, you can imagine the 100 headlines in there. Now we're only seeing from today, we're only seeing, maybe 20 headlines or so. So it is limiting by earnings category. It's also limiting by sector. And look, we had 1, 2, 3 really notable earnings out of the retail space just today alone. You can notice that a few of these headlines here are red. What does that indicate, Luke?
Yeah, so red means that it's hot. Our news desk goes ahead and tags headlines as hot if they are some of the biggest news items of the day. Of course, Kohl's coming out, Macy's coming out. These are things that are going to be headline news. They have the power to influence indexes. There's going to be a ton of volume traded. We want to make sure that you're in front of them. You don't miss any opportunities. And so we go ahead and give that red color on it so it stands out on your screen.
Yep, and if you notice, I'm just going to really quickly click back into our filters here. Going off of what Luke just said about that red really stands out. I want to show you something else you can do here, and here's sort of a little bonus. So what you can do when you limit some of these feeds is you can check this little slider. And if, for example, red hot headlines are red by default, but let's say you wanted to use some of this theming. You could, for example, select this kind of little purple here for earnings and guidance, and then when we check it, anything that's tagged as earnings and guidance gets tagged with that purple theme. Now, it doesn't exactly look the best because we're limited to earnings here, but you can imagine that if you have a news feed with a lot of categories going on, with a lot of sectors going on, that can be a thing that can really help you discern what's notable to you, what kind of category a headline might be coming from.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian.
Yep.
All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to reset all of our filters back to the default news feed.
If you want to change that color, Luke, I don't know if that's messing with you or anything.
Yep.
You can just hit that little X right there. It'll remove the theme. You're no longer themed. Kind of cool, right?
Very cool. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and uncheck Benzinga wire in the sources menu. So that means that we are looking at one source right now, which is Benzinga signals. You want to give a quick overview as to what Benzinga signals is, Brent?
Yep, absolutely. So a lot of the headlines that we have already been looking at are hand-curated, hand-aggregated by reporters on our news team. Also the Benzinga.com stories. Obviously, those are written by actual reporters, actual writers. Benzinga Signals is our automated solution for Benzinga Pro. It's one of the only parts of the platform that's automated. And there are 5 or 6 kinds of automation that are going into Benzinga Signals. And we've built this system that is tracking quotes throughout the day. It's tracking a lot of things going on behind the scenes in the market. And what's happening basically is if something unusual happens, like for example, a block trade or an unusual option alert, within a second, within a fraction of a second, you're going to get alerted to it on Benzinga Pro. It's because we're tracking this stuff in real time, and when something unusual happens, basically one of these signals automatically fires. So what, Luke, what are the, if you can remember, what are the kinds of signals that go into Benzinga Signals?
Yep. So I believe we've got 5 types.
Okay.
You can see right in the middle of the screen with a lot of block trades. These are when institutions are dealing with these big blocks. They might do them in a dark pool. They might be off the tape. You know, some really large volume there. If I own the stock, I definitely want to be aware if there's increased activity in the stock I'm looking at.
And so as you're going through these, Luke, I'm going to take the controls here on this computer, and I'm going to do some even more limiting things as you're going through these. And I would definitely recommend everyone out there try this because it is a way to see sort of only what you want. So keep walking us through, Luke. What's happening? We got a little pause here. Oh, we got some chats. Hey everyone, we weren't looking at our chat. Sorry about that. That is very helpful. Thank you. We got our man Andrew Bison here helping. And to that, on that note, if everyone out there does have questions as we're going through this, please ask away. We love answering questions. We'll stop if we think it's appropriate. If not, we'll answer them at the end. So Luke, keep going through here really quickly.
Yep. So I mentioned block trades.
Yep.
We've got 52-week highs and lows.
So what I'm going to do right here.
Yep.
Is I'm just going to use the keyword block. And so what that's doing, and as out of Benzinga signals, now I'm only getting block trades. The next one you mentioned, it was 52-week highs and lows. I'll just type in the keyword 52, and look at you are only getting your 52-week highs or lows here. So what we're doing is kind of compounding a couple different filters, right? We have Benzinga signals filtered. We are also now stacking on top of that filter a keyword search, and it's only going to give us those results.
Yep, and on that last screen and right at the top of this screen, you will notice we have 52-week highs and lows that happen intraday, and then sometimes there will be some high volume in the after hours section, and you're alerted as well if a stock breaks out either pre-market or after hours.
So go to the keep going.
All right, we're gonna keep going. Spiking. One of the most frustrating things in my experience with dealing with the market is being behind a move when there's nothing out on it. And that's why we've got this, we've got a signal that alerts you to these price spikes either up or down. Criteria we look for, we're looking for a very, very unusual move. We're looking at the average ranges that stocks will trade over a rolling handful of seconds. And the move has got to be on volume as well. We all have been, confused by all of a sudden a stock will break out, but it's just a couple trades. This is a high conviction breakout, and a lot of times the patterns continue.
Great. What's next?
All right, next up, options.
Oh, that's a good one. And we got a good question here coming from Dana. Thanks a lot for the question, Dana. Luke, keep going. I'll get to Dana's question in just a second here.
All right, so we've got our options alerts on Benzinga. This is probably one of the most popular features that we have. We get a lot of great feedback from traders who want to be aware of some of these big options trades. For myself personally, I may not be trading off of these. I don't trade off of these alerts in real time, but when I own a stock, I want to know if there is some activity that picks up. So for example, if I own a stock that is, rumored as a takeover target, and all of a sudden I see a lot of calls trading that indicate that somebody aggressively wants to get in the stock at a higher price, I want to know about that. I want to know if is that indicating anything? Are these rumors perhaps going to come true? Does somebody know something that they shouldn't, etc.
Okay, that was great. And so you said a word in there that I think we should touch on. In just a sec here, you said the word indicating, and I think that's key. And let me get to Dana's question here really quick. So Dana, thanks again. He said, does the block trade show a put or a call? No, a block trade is only indicating equity. It's only indicating shares of common stock. That's what the options alert is here for. You're kind of separating those out into a couple indications of interest. So I'm one of the guys that works on the news desk. I get a lot of questions about both our option alerts and our block trades. And one of the most common questions that I get on block trades is it a buy or a sell? And I have to say, unfortunately, the block trades aren't used in that way, and you can't really get an indication on it. However, similar to options, what you should be using, what you want to be using block trades for is an indication of interest. And you're going, okay, well, who cares, if there's a big block going off in Cliffs, natural resource, for example. Well, consider this. Not a lot of retail investors could want to buy or sell a big block of 500,000 shares of Synchrony Financial. It's a $29 stock. Pretty much the only kind of block trade action that you can get is from institutions. So there it is. A lot of people spend a ton of money finding ways to follow the institution. I guess the assumption is you're sort of following the big money. Whether that's true or not, what you are getting is you're getting an indication that there is somebody out there, either way, a buy or a sell, that is currently looking at the stock. well, how I think about that is it's probably a good spot for you to start your research. Like, for example, if you see a big block trade up here, you know, this Cliffs one was 1 million shares at $7. That's, you know, over a 7 million share offer. What you want to do is, you know, like let it start your own research. You're saying, okay, I'm seeing that there's clear interest in Cliffs. I don't really know a ton about the company, but maybe what I can do is start learning, start using my research platforms, and you know, start trying to find ways that this might fit into my strategy. Kind of same thing for options. You can get some clear indication from options, but at least me, how I'm using that is that there's an indication that there's some kind of buyer that is interested in a security. The thing about options is you don't know if the person on the other side of the options trade is hedging an equity position. So again, I think it's important to note that, you know, for option trades, you can get some insight into whether it's bullish or bearish. Block trades, you can't really at all, but nonetheless, how you should probably use it is being for an indication that somebody out there, probably a big buyer, is interested in the name for whatever reason. Maybe I can go start trying to find out that reason. Whew.
All right, that was good, Brett. That was good. All right, let me hop in and talk about options in a similar context. When we are looking at options to alert our traders to over here at Benzinga, there are two primary criteria that we're looking for. The first one is a big bet. You know, if this options trade really stands out, that's one thing that, okay, we think this is very interesting, but that's not enough. And the other one is low open interest before this trade takes place.
Okay.
So you're talking about block trades, you're using it as an indication of interest. You know, this is very similar in philosophy as to what our options alerts are referencing. So if we look at this first alert at the top of the screen, ticker GPI, what company is that, Brent?
Genuine Parts, I want to say.
Genuine Parts International. Okay.
You think that's it?
I think that's it. Whoever. Nope.
Oh, Group 1. I got it wrong.
Group 1 Automotive.
I'm sorry, Luke. I'm sorry, users, listeners out there.
I don't think anybody was misled by that.
Okay,
I think we're okay. All right. So let's take a look at this first option alert. So we had 50 puts. We had 500 contracts of the $50 puts trade at the ask. So the first half, we're talking about a big bet. Somebody desperately wanted these puts to the point where they're going to buy 500 contracts. They're going to control, what is that, 50,000 shares of the stock, and they're not going to take their time to do it. It's not like they're trying to you know, ease slowly into the position.
Right.
They said, I want everything on the book. I'm going to pay whatever the ask is.
Sorry about that.
Yep, I'm going to pay whatever the ask is because for whatever reason, that trader wants to get their hands on those options. The second part, we see verse 50 OI. That means that the open interest is 50. What does that indicate to us, the 50 OI? It means that before this trade took place, there were only 50 active contracts for this option. So that means that you know, people could have traded it in and out of the option contract, but there were only 50 contracts existing at the time.
So this was like 10 times the size, right?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
For some reason, this contract became very, very hot. If you take a look at the strike price of $50 versus the current price of the stock of $56.45, it means for some reason somebody became very interested in this contract all of a sudden, you know, and sees over $6 of downside in you know, just over in about a month.
Right. And so we are just considering what at least one bettor out there is, but the point is he or she is clearly a big bettor. We don't know that reason, but again, kind of circling back, it can be a start for your own research to maybe try to go figure out what they were seeing. Cool.
Awesome. Great summary, Brent. Anything else to add on to options?
Yeah. I wanted to highlight, you know, one other question that I get a lot of times on our option alerts is, what is this number that is after the word sweep? It's in parentheses here. I'm highlighted. Everybody in the audience, look at your screen. You can see that number that I'm highlighting. You can see a lot more of them. So what's special about our system is if you, for example, have an online brokerage account and you're looking at the option chain for an online brokerage account, a lot of times that chain doesn't, believe it or not, doesn't include all of the orders that could be out there. What our system does is it goes to more than a few sources that could be putting out orders. Could be an exchange, it could be some other kind of router, and our system will look at a lot of them and it will compile all those together, and it will kind of stack it into this one order that you're seeing here, this one alert that you're seeing here. So what that number is, 33, for this GD.com option alert, what our system does was it, quote, swept these orders from 33 different sources. So how you can use this is it can be an indication that the order was coming from sort of a centralized location, like for example, this one in Dix here. It only came from 2 exchanges or routers versus having to come from, you know, like in this one that we were just looking at, 33 different sources basically. It's a question that I get a lot of times on, and I just wanted to clarify really quickly.
Cool.
So does anyone out there have questions related to the stuff that Luke and I just went over on options, or you know, a little less recently, we talked about the block trades. I'd like to see if we get some questions in here.
Yep, yeah. Feel free to throw the questions in the chat. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and highlight the screener widget really quickly.
Cool.
I want to stick with the theme that we've been following of talking about interest in a stock when something you know, is in play. And that is exactly what the screener does. If you guys have not used the screener in the past, I highly recommend it. It is a tool that I use religiously each and every day. Brent, do you want to give us an overview as to what exactly people are looking at?
Yeah, sure. So when you click the screener widget here, it right away pops up into the specifications. It wants to give you some criteria as to what the results down here in the bottom half of the screen are going to be showing. So what we can do here is we can view both gainers and losers, upside and downside. You can just view gainers, you can just view losers. So I can just click this big box here, and you notice down here, now I'm only getting the stocks that were higher for the session. I can change my interval. I can change, if we were looking over just the last 15 minutes, over the last 30 minutes, over the last 24 hours. And sort of circling around to something that you did a little bit earlier, you can also, if you choose to, filter by sector. So this is really helpful if, you know, you're only a technology trader, you don't like to have energy stocks, you don't like to have financial stocks, you only like tech. Well, you can click tech here, and you can start limiting by only the tech stocks that were up or down. Let's see what the limit is right here. We can use our couple of sliders. We can choose our market cap, and right now we're looking at, you know, stocks that have moved at all, basically, for the session. We can start limiting this stuff. We can grab the bottom end of this slider, and we can pull it up here, and we can say, okay, we only want to see stocks that moved greater than $10, basically.
Great. And this is you know, something that I think is a very cool feature. We've got a lot of users that I hear from that just trade small stocks. So we've got a lot of users that don't care about the small stocks and just trade some of the larger stocks. So
yep.
Nice little way, another way to find, you know, what's in play. You know, get an indication of interest.
And why don't we, Luke? Oh, and you know what just happened right there? My screener here just auto refresh. There's also this auto refresh button, and it'll basically like refresh every minute or so, I think it is.
Yep.
And you'll get a new updated feed. So Luke, we haven't kind of like used a couple of widgets in tandem. Why don't we do that real quick? We can kind of like tie all of the stuff that we have talked about today on the webinar together. So let's just start here. We'll use your workspace too. We'll start with the screener. What we can do is we can open a couple of news feeds. You can have up to 4 widgets on one workspace. And remember I said you can have pretty much as many workspaces as you want to. So actually this looks a little clunky. I don't really like having my news feed over here on the right and having kind of like a reduced one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start over real quick. So I'm just going to close these all, and we'll get a little different order going. So what I want to do is I want to have my 2 news feeds on the right, on the left, and I want to have a screener over on the right. I think I'm doing it right here. Let's see if I can get it. I think I messed the order up. Sorry, Luke.
It's all right, friend.
Okay, cool. Let me try one more time.
Yep.
One more. Now we're gonna get it. Okay, sweet.
Got it.
So what I want to do here is, for the context of this webinar, let's just use signals and let's just use our screeners. So I'm going to turn off Benzinga wire. I am going to turn off Benzinga wire here. I only got my Benzinga signals, and we got our screener over here. This is a setup that you can be using actively throughout the day. If you only want to see block trades, let's filter these a little bit more. We're only seeing block trades now. If you only want to see options alerts in this one, let's filter this one a little bit more, and now we're only seeing option alerts here. So now you have one full workspace. It's actively updating throughout the day. As stuff gets populated in, you're going to see it in the options. As unusual block trades get come up, you're going to see it get populated into this one. And this whole time you can be watching your movers to see if anything new comes on your movers list. Like, for example, all of a sudden Nike jumps on here. Maybe that's your prompt to open another news feed and see if there's news on Nike, for example. You pull up your news right there really quick on Nike. How about that?
Well, so we got an options trade just yesterday.
Nice.
Options trade.
So that was kind of like a quick crash course in making a few widgets. Using some keywords, using some filters to kind of limit out a lot of the information that is in Benzinga Pro.
All right.
Sweet.
Thank you, Brian, for hopping on with me.
No problem at all. It was fun.
And thank you, everybody, for listening to us. We are always building over here at Benzinga. If there is anything that you think that we could build that would be helpful for you, we are receptive to it. We do not, just bury the feedback or lock it away in a room somewhere. We like to move quickly and listen to our customers and essentially build the platform you need to trade better.
Yeah, and we didn't really get any questions in at the end of the webinar. That's okay. That's maybe good. Maybe, we explained it good enough. If anyone out there in the audience, as you're getting more familiar with the platform, as you're getting more used to it, if questions do pop up, give us a ring in the office. It's 313-723-2000. That's 313-723-2000. You can also email any of us. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm Brent at benzinga.com. He's Luke at benzinga.com. You can also harass our awesome marketing guy, Andrew Weiss. That's Andrew Weiss at benzinga.com. A Weiss, sorry. Thank you, Andrew. A Weiss, that's WEISS at benzinga.com. I would recommend harassing him more so before Luke and I. I think he really likes that.
All right. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
All right, everyone, have a good night. We'll see you next week for the webinar.